The sad reality is that Mr. Beast is not an idiot. He's not. He's actually someone who's very smart, which is why I feel comfortable criticizing him, because he's not an idiot. Like, I feel a little guilty criticizing basically any teenagers on the internet. I feel guilty criticizing people who very clearly made mistakes and they didn't mean to do harm or whatever. Like, it's very obvious. Or people who I feel like are a little dumb. No offense.
The biggest issue we'll all be dealing with for the rest of our lives is wealth inequality. And there's a few ways to combat it. One, be the small percentage of people who get rich, have financial freedom, and then ignore the big stinking mess in the room with all of us. Two, change the system in which wealth inequality thrives. And three, bitch about it on Twitter. And today we're talking about the latter, specifically about Mr. Beast, who's been under some fire, and I think it all circles back to wealth inequality. But let's go to where it all started a month ago when he uploaded a video called 1,000 Blind People See for the First Time, where he fixed people who had like an issue, I think cataracts. Anyway, I never made a video about this, even though there was a lot of drama on Twitter about it, because I thought, this is just Twitter trolls. And also, Charlie made a video, and he encapsulated all my thoughts in a single sentence.
But yeah, thumbnail aside, I think what he's done is a good thing.
Brave. I love that guy. That's the GOAT right there. But it didn't end. It didn't end for Mr. Beast in his troubles with Twitter. A week or 2 weeks later, he posted this: "I need your help. Next time you see Feastables in Walmart, soon to be retailers, if you could clean up the presentation, make it look better, that'd make me happy." Feastables, of course, is, 8-9 figure company that's competing against Hershey's. Make the display look better so the marketing efforts are a little better, so I sell a little more. That's the idea. And look, I can't complain. I am no stranger to mobilizing my viewer base for my own gain. I had my car stolen, and then I had an army of Ludbuds roaming around Sylmar, Los Angeles, trying to locate it, and they did, and I have it back, and thank you. But this rubbed people the wrong way, and so there was a few memes made about it. "I caught this man after his shoulder brushed a Feastables display, and one of your chocolates fell to the ground. He's pleading for mercy, but I do not believe he's truly sorry. How shall I deal with him, sir?" 130K likes. Take that, Mr. Beast. This guy, brave. Okay, that's like when they handed the Pepsi to Kendall Jenner. 30K likes. And then this is just a made up post. From $8 an hour, mini Beast product zoner. I'm all for dunking on me, but no need to spread lies. It's real. I would never spread lies as a journalist.
No way, dude. Juniper got a Mr. Beast reply. Oh my God.
I would. The thing is, I have to agree, because I am a journalist and I also would never do that. And it just seems like he's getting a lot of shit. So he did, in typical Mr. Beast fashion, a big donation to show how grateful I am to everyone that helped tidy things up. I'm gonna donate. That's titty. That's this titty, not tidy. To tidy things up, I'm gonna donate $100,000 to charity. What charity should I donate to? Appreciate.
There was also a deleted Mr. Beast tweet where it was him complaining about being canceled again.
But I feel like the people on Twitter, they're not really biting on that. And I,
you know what it is? It's that, like, we've been spoiled by like the one second. I'm gonna pull up pausers. Actually, let's press play. And then we'll get back to it.
We can kind of prove that they don't really care about the money being donated because they think it's nefarious to some degree, with this most recent controversy that's been happening over the past day, where Mr. Beast made a video about giving 20,000 kids in South Africa their first pair of shoes.
For hundreds of thousands of kids in South Africa, the only thing standing between them and an education is a simple pair of shoes.
So he got them pairs of shoes. Good is good. We can say it's good. I'm glad that these kids have shoes. I would not want them to not have shoes. Good that they have shoes. But people on Twitter were a little bit upset about this. People praising things like this, good guy Mr. Beast, ignore the reality that he makes a profit from these types of videos. This isn't really charity. To which Mr. Beast replies, "No hate, you probably haven't seen the channel, but it actually is a charity, and I obviously don't profit from it. 100% of all the revenue from Beast Philanthropy goes towards running my food banks and helping ease human suffering. And since inception, I've donated or personally put in millions of dollars to Beast Philanthropy. That's the whole point. Make content around helping people to generate more money to help more people." Now, I understand the initial concern and criticism. I even receive some criticism when I do a charity stream because it's like, oh, it's a tax write-off. You're actually making money from this, which isn't exactly how it works. But I think at the end of the day, we live in a society where the structure is set up in a way where you have like some mega billionaires who do a lot of philanthropic work, like a Bill Gates, for example. And it's like, well,
Bill Gates.
hey, I would rather you not, do 40 tax loopholes and donate, and then we hire some elected representatives to spend that money on like, social projects or like public works projects, rather than like Bill Gates playing God and fixing random issues that he thinks he wants to fix. And I don't. That's weird. It's weird. It's weird that one guy has that much money and he's like, I'm gonna fix malaria in this country, and it's like, what? You're playing God. This is so, like, it's good. It's a good thing. I understand that's a good thing. Malaria being gone equal good, but weird that you are the one making all the decisions and playing God and have this much money to do so, that much capital. And that's, I think, where some concerns were driven from with Mr. Beast. Like maybe in some people's minds connected to that. Mr. Beast just unlocked a new form of capitalism. I hate it here. It's all about the Mr. Beast chocolate displays. And then there was this whole thread. This is in response to Mr. Beast saying that he doesn't drive a profit. Yes, that's because your net worth is over 100 mil and you dick suck Elon Musk. That's why you tweeted weirdly about your chocolate and why you own a fast food chain. This is all such a scam, lol. No activist would start a fast food chain to bring change. And then Mr. Beast replied, I started Beast Burger during COVID because restaurants were struggling and I wanted to give them a way to earn extra money. Countless restaurants were closing to go under, and the extra revenue generated off selling Beast Burgers helped them stay afloat. And until after lockdown, I've never really...
I would like a source on that. I would like a source on that. I'm pretty sure he ran a profit off of the Beast Burgers.
Really made a penny off it. We just reinvest the revenue into ads to help restaurants. Now, look, I think this is all a bit misdirected because I understand the initial concern. I understand the initial like confusion or just like ick on all of the Mr. Beast philanthropy things. At its core, they are good. They are a whole good. But they are only able to exist because we live in a system in America where 1,000 people need cataract surgery and don't have access to it, and it would cost like literally hundreds of dollars to do it, but it requires one guy named Mr. Beast who's 24 years old from North Carolina to get up and fucking do it. It's weird, right? Like it feels like there should be something we could do. It feels like we should be able to hire elected officials to fix the fucking problem. But I think everyone's collective experience.
So here's like the problem, by the way, chat. This is the really infuriating thing, that people want to criticize like these systems. So people see Mr. Beast and they don't give a fuck about who Mr. Beast is, right? Nobody cares about who Mr. Beast is. It's that people see Mr. Beast's philanthropy and they think it is so fucked up that this is the system that we have created. That instead of just giving people what they need, we have to wait for millionaires and billionaires to feel like doing it. Is it great that he cured those 100 people's blindness? Yeah. Are you kidding me? That's great. Is it great that he donates to charity? Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that he does it. Okay. And I hope he does more. But the reality is, why are we just letting them decide how much they should give? Why don't we just tax them according to their wealth or according to their income or both? Why don't we just find all the millionaires and billionaires who have U.S. citizenship and be like, okay, how much money do you make a year? Okay, well, we're going to tax you X amount of dollars off of that money. Okay, and how much are your assets? You have this much in assets. Okay, we're going to tax you 2% on all of your assets. That's it. It's not that complicated. When people get upset at Mr. Beast, they don't give a fuck who Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is just a fucking white guy with a mustache. One more in a pile of them on YouTube, okay? People are upset at the fact that this is reality, that we have to wait for some other person to come help. And this is really depressing thing. It's really, really depressing. You know? I would be so happy to see him make a video about how he lobbied for politicians to tax him more. That would be a video that I would like suck his dick for. I would be like, whoa, that is a good video. And that's a good video that you actually are like promoting and you're explaining to people how to do that. Wow, that's crazy. That's sick. It's great. Is she talking about mustaches again? I mean, I kind of went after him just because he has a mustache.
Experience in America is that the problem doesn't get fucking fixed. It doesn't get fixed. Doesn't matter who you hire. It doesn't matter who you elect. Either political party. No problems ever get fixed. No, even with the majority, still don't get fucking fixed. And so it's like, fuck me. What am I supposed to do? And I think when you see somebody who is working with this broken system and getting views off this broken system and making money and doing charity in the ways that the broken system allows you to do it, it's like, oh well, hey, I'm mad at Mr. Beast for being a part of this system. But that's not. I feel like it's misguided, because at the end of the day, all the things he's doing are good things. And is the system he's working in fucked? Yeah, it's super fucked. But if we have Mr. Beast stop donating to charity, let's just say Twitter bullies him into stopping all his philanthropy work, is anything better? Oh, problem suddenly resolved. No, I think he's maybe just a poster boy for this new era of content creators, which in the creator economy are dictating a lot of what happens in business, in the world. And I do think this is maybe a more poignant tweet than what a lot of the brain dead Twitter takes are. Every heartwarming human interest story in America is like, he raised $20,000 to keep 200 orphans from being crushed in the orphan crushing machine. And
it's like, don't get me wrong, just really quickly, and this is also true. Let him finish.
Asks why an orphan crushing machine exists, or why you need to pay to prevent it from being used.
Banger tweet.
But
this is the sad thing. The really, 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 really sad and like depressing thing is just like, who, like, Juniper. Dude, I feel so blessed that Juniper follows me on Twitter. Is this what it's come to in America? Ludwig, in his newest video, calls the MRBEAST product zoner job listing I found fake. How can we continue to expect democracy to survive if those with massive platforms continue to spread fake news against journalists? I love her so much, dude. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Enemy of the state. Bottom text. And yeah, for everyone who's already mentioned it, all of the charity, all of the stuff that he does, it's all like, sure, like, let's just say that he does it because he feels good and he wants to help people or whatever. You can't deny the fact that it helps his brand. Like, he builds his entire brand on all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, that's what he cares about the most, because that's what all capitalists care about. And he is a capitalist. You know? Mogul male has become too woke, brother. Yeah, it's when everyone jumps to defend him. It's working. It's really sad. It's really sad. It's like, I don't know, man. I personally don't like how feel goody he makes the videos. It's like, I get that it's weird because I have two opinions. I understand why he makes the videos feel good videos. And it's because people don't want to get on their computers after a long day of work or a long day of school or whatever and then watch depressing news. Nobody wants to fucking do that. Nobody wants to do that. People want to come home and they want to enjoy themselves and they want to have some good content that's entertaining, educational, and enjoyable that makes them feel good. I understand why he does it. However, especially kids, obviously. However, I feel like framing some of these stories as like feel-good stories is weird. That's the extent of my annoyance about Mr. Beast. You know? Like, I don't like that he like frames like, I gave 100 people vision as like a good thing instead of like isn't this terrible that I have to do this? Otherwise these people will never be able to see. Isn't it fucked up that I need to do this? Like, please be more informed and aware about this situation because this is really sad. I would be like, oh, this guy is so based. Oh my God, I would be, this is so based. And then he actually like pushed against like capitalism as a whole. I'd be like, oh my God, yes. But that's not what he does. And that's really depressing for me. And it's very like, it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch this like very wealthy person frame themselves as like a hero in all of their stories, you know? It's got a lot of savior complex in it. You know what I mean? For me, just for my personal taste. And I'm happy that those 100 people can now see. I'm very happy for them. That's great. Isn't it fucked up that you need to help them? I would be okay with his videos if he started his videos explaining why he shouldn't have to do this and then went into a complete feel-good video. Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, like, charity is never going to fix the problems, you know? Like, can you imagine if at the end of a video, he told people, obviously his audience is kids. There have to be some adults in there. I mean, there are adults going around fixing the fucking chocolate bars in his Twitter replies. I would be happy if at the end of the video he said, like, you know, like, lobby your politicians for these things. Lobbying has multiple definitions, chat. Or if he was like, oh, you know, call your representative, call your senator. Please be aware that like this capitalist system is dog shit. Like I would be like, okay, sick. He's actually pushing for like political reform. But he never passes the threshold of like from personal responsibility to anything else, which is really sad for me. It's a little hard to watch. You know, think of if he could get kids, if he can get kids and grown ass adults to go around rearranging chocolate bars. He has the power to get people to be more politically informed and to start fucking bothering the representatives. Do you know what I mean? That's so frustrating. But he's a capitalist and that's why he doesn't do it. You know?
It's not Mr. Beast's fault. It's not something he created. He's a part of the machine. He's not going to fix capitalism. He's not going to do that. He's going to operate it within it, and that's fine. It's fine that he does that. It's fine that he also does good. All right, you don't have to love him because he's doing charity works. You don't have to love him because he's being philanthropic. But to hate him for it seems a little backwards. Is it better if he doesn't do it? I don't think so. How do we fix the system? That's the bigger question. And I don't fucking know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe an elected official will eventually come along that seems decent. Maybe a third political party. Who knows? That would shake things up a little bit. But shitting on Mr. Beast on Twitter?
So here's like the thing. This is the really sad thing. I've never watched Mr. Beast. Is it possible he hasn't thought of using his platform for more? The sad reality is that Mr. Beast is not an idiot. He's not. He's actually someone who's very smart. Which is why I feel comfortable criticizing him. Because he's not an idiot. Like, I feel a little guilty criticizing basically any teenagers on the internet. I feel guilty criticizing people who very clearly made mistakes. And they didn't mean to do harm or whatever. Like, it's very obvious. Or people who I feel like are a little dumb. No offense to those people. I'm not going to list out names. Right? But he's not an idiot. Mr. Beast is not an idiot. He's not by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm pretty sure Hassan has literally quote tweeted him on multiple different issues explaining the problem. Like saying like this X, Y, and Z. Why are you not attributing these problems to capitalism? And he just ignores it. That's the problem. You know? This guy's argument is basically summed up as don't hate the player, hate the game. Yeah. Like a lot of people have pointed it out. And he just doesn't really care, which is like the norm, right? Most capitalists don't care.
A pretty inefficient use of your time and pretty brain dead. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later. All right, subscribe. Goodbye.
Yeah. He's still just 24. What is his net worth? Net worth, Mr. Beast. He is a 24-year-old with $150 million net worth. His estimated YouTube income is about 20 million. At that amount of wealth, you have people smarter than you to explain concepts to you all the time. I promise you, every single rich person, they don't randomly suddenly make decisions themselves. They have other people that are more educated explain lots of things. Also, yeah, 24 is a grown-ass man. When I said young people, I meant like under 20. But yeah. It costs society less to cure cataracts than to leave people disabled. It just goes against the principles of capitalism. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. Consultants are literally under his thumb. Yeah. Yeah. And like, again, I'm glad that he donates money. I'm glad that he does at least do something. But I think the American public deserves more. I think the American public deserves policies that actually help people. You know? Personal opinion. Personal opinion. Oh. Anyways, guys. I'm sure he's a grown man, but 24 is not like he's been making money for a decade. He's been just... Huh? I disagree with this statement. If I knew that socialism was based at whatever age that I learned it, and I knew that like charity would not solve regulation problems, I knew that like regulation was required at like 21. You know what I mean? Also, he literally was like abusing his workers with these fucking ghost kitchens, chat. Like, he's still a capitalist who abuses workers, dog. Who do you think is... Chat, do you really think the chocolate that he's making is ethical? I promise you, his chocolate is probably as unethical as fucking Nestle's chocolate. That's why it's only $3. He's still a capitalist. Okay? I think people forget this. I think they just view him and they're like, he's a guy who makes much charity. And it's like, whoa. I'll have you know he abuses labor like any other capitalist does, okay? All right, whoa. Anyways. There was a tweet literally confirming he uses the same cacao sourcing companies. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. He uses the same suppliers who've been busted for child exploitation. Why do you have to open my eyes to reality? I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. You know? I bet his chocolate is literally just Hershey, but in a different wrapper. Yes. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Jenk is listen, if Hassan can't save his uncle, I don't know why you think I can. You know? That's out of my hands, brother. Out of my hands. All right, guys. Oh man. Guys. I gotta put this in my...